Cautious market optimism. What exactly does that mean for the Seattle real estate market? Hey, it's Brennen Clouse. I'm your favorite Seattle area realtor. If you don't know anything about me, I left Microsoft years ago to start helping people every day in their life to build wealth through real estate. I'm super happy you're here today because we are talking about what's going on in the Seattle real estate market right now. The stats just came out from February 2024 for the Seattle real estate market. Now, these stats are from the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, which is the #1 truest source of these statistics for all of the stats in the area. This is where all of the listings are syndicated. The monthly market update, cautious market optimism as seasonal changes take shape. This is the title of the newest press release from the Multiple Listing Service. So just to give a quick overview of this, interest rates did increase in the first couple of months of the year. So they came down a little bit, but they have gone back up now. To the day of this recording, they're a little bit over 7%. That is continuing to create issues for buyers when they want to go buy, because with the interest rates higher, they can afford a little bit less in terms of their monthly payment. So with a higher interest rate, you're not going to be able to afford as much in terms of your month-to-month payment, because it creates a larger amount of interest that you have to pay every month. So buyers in the market cannot buy at as high of a price because of the interest rate being higher. If the interest rate comes down, then these buyers can typically afford more with the same monthly payment because there's a lower interest month to month. So that is keeping sellers in their home currently if they have a low interest rate, and it's making it hard for buyers to purchase. That said, in February 2024, we saw across the whole Northwest Multiple Listing Service a 2% decrease in closed sales transactions year over year, but the median prices of homes went up nearly 6% year over year. So we're seeing fewer homes on the market, fewer listings and closed sales, but we're seeing an increase in the median price. So that's really important to take away from this video, is that the prices are going up, but we're seeing fewer homes on the market. Now, when we look at the February data, there are a couple takeaways. The median sales price in King County was $820,000 in February 2024. It was $715,000 in Snohomish County and $671,000 in San Juan County. So those are the three top most expensive counties in the Northwest Multiple Listing Service. Now, the number of homes on the market throughout Washington increased in 17 out of the 26 counties. There were nearly 4% year over year increases in the active property listings in Washington. 10 of 26 counties saw an increase in the number of homes year over year, while 14 counties saw a decrease in the number of homes. King and Pacific saw relatively no change in the number of year over year sales transactions. So King has been pretty steady. Now, condominium sales continue to show growth with 636 units sold in February, which is an increase of more than 9% over February of 2023. That's great. The median sale price of condominiums increased more than 15% year over year. So if you have been following the real estate market, you might know that during COVID, the condo sales went way down, as well as the average price of condos, and now they are coming back and recovering somewhat in this year. The median sales price of condos was $430,000 at the end of February 2023, and now it is back up to $496,500 at the end of February 2024. So as what they're saying here is there has been a seller reluctance has continued to stifle inventory levels. Essentially, that means that sellers are reluctant to get out of their house because they have a great interest rate right now, and they don't know what they'll do if they sell their home and lose that interest rate. And then they call out in this article, although there's lower inventory levels, a decrease of about 2% since February 2023, there has been a lot of competition. And this is something that I can verify in the market. We just had a home that we made an offer on for our client that had 18 offers on it. Now, that is a ton of buyer demand in the market, and we're seeing this because there are so few homes listed for sale. Now, let's get into specifically the King County trends. So I'm going to show you these graphs. First, we're going to show you active listings. So this is inventory of residential and condominium properties listed for sale that have not yet accepted an offer. So active listings over the last 5 years, you can see in 2022, we had the lowest number of active listings. 2023, we're right in the middle, right below where we had 2020, but above 2021 and 2022. So we're right about in the middle. It's not the lowest we've ever seen. The lowest we've seen was in 2022, but it is still quite low compared to what we saw before. Okay, first we're going to look here at the active number of listings over the past 5 years. So you can see in January of 2024, this is lower than what we saw in 2023, but it's not quite as low as 2022. So when you come over to the chart on the right here, you can see January 2024, we had about 1,842 active listings. That's much lower than January of 2023. So we are seeing a lower level, and this is where that decrease comes from in active listing. In February, we saw this trend reverse a little bit. So we've seen a few more active listings than we saw in February of 2023, which is good news for buyers because we are seeing more of those homes come onto the market that they can buy. And you see this reflected in the 5-year trend as well. 2022 was our lowest point of inventory so far, at least for January and February, although in 2021, the lowest inventory of all time was in December of 2021. So keep that in mind for your relative 5-year historical data. Now, in terms of the number of new listings, this is residential and condominium properties added to the inventory during the period, so the month basically. Now you'll see for 2024 in green, we saw about 1,875 new listings added to the inventory. That is higher than what we saw in 2023. So we see more coming on, but in terms of active, what's on the market that has not sold, there are fewer. Similarly, in February, we saw a lot more come on than what we saw in February of 2023. So again, this is great news for buyers. For sellers, while there is still very little competition for you, you should know that this is probably going to continue to creep up. So the longer you wait to put your home on the market, the more competition you could potentially have. Moving on to pending sales. So this shows residential and condominium properties where the purchase and sale agreement has been signed by both the buyer and the seller, but it has not closed yet. So these are called pending properties. So for King County specifically, you can see the number of pending in January is the lowest that it's been out of the past 5 years for January, but it did creep up above 2023 in February. So about 1719 in January for King County. That's lower than what we saw go pending last January. And then for February, we saw that climb up to about 2,061, slightly higher than February of 2023. So this means that more homes are going under contract now than there were last February, but we see little inventory, we see lower levels, and it is starting to creep up. And so this is where that cautious optimism comes from, because these are seasonal trends that we're seeing. We see typically the seasonal trend of December and January being very slow in the real estate market. And then as we get into spring in February, the market's starting to accelerate and take off. So when we looked at closed sales, these are residential and condo sale transactions that have closed. So 2024 is very close to what we saw in 2023 for both January and February. You can see in the graphs right here that they're almost exactly identical, just a few homes off. So the number of sales that are happening are still about the same year over year. So we're not seeing an increase in the number of closed sales, but we do see much fewer active listings than we saw the past year. Now, in terms of months of inventory, the ratio of active listings to closed sales. So you divide the total number of active listings on the market by the total number of closed sales. This typically tells you if it's a buyer or a seller's market. Anything below 3 months of inventory is technically a seller's market. 3 to 6 months is a balanced market, and above 6 months is a buyer's market. I like to think about this as the acceleration of the market as well. So we had 1.8 months of inventory in January 2024. That's down from 2.3 of 2023. And so that means it's even more of a seller's market now. And in February, we had 1.5 months of inventory, and that's slightly higher than what we saw last February in 2023. So meaning that it is a little bit less of a seller's market than it was in 2023 for February, but not by much. So this is still really optimistic for sellers. It still means that we are very much in a seller's market. And for buyers, if you're watching this, what you need to know is that there is fierce competition out there, and you need to be aware of that going in. So making sure you have a strategy and an approach to finding the right house. Now, the median price is the middle price, meaning that equal number of sold units, higher and lower, than this exact value. So in 2024, you can see our median prices for January and February are above all of the previous 4 years here. So we saw the median price in January this year of 760,000. That's up from last January 2023 when it was 723,000. And same in February, it's at 820,000 median price, and that is up from 726,000 of February 2023. You can see the median prices do climb as we get into the year because we often see prices go up as we get closer to summer and then come back down as we go towards December. So something to keep in mind for both buyers and sellers is that the seasonality will change how much you get for your home, with more buyers coming into the market typically around this time of year, February, March, but also more listings. So you have to be careful as a seller because you will have more competition. If you have any questions about how to navigate the Seattle real estate market, if you want to strategize on a plan to get you your dream home and get it without having to compete or winning the competition, or if you're a seller thinking about listing in the next 6 to 8 to 12 months, it's super important to come up with a plan because it takes time to prepare your home for market so you can get top dollar for it. Reach out, you can schedule time below, make sure that you have a plan in place to get ready for this market, and make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can see regular updates on what's going on in the market in the future. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to hear what you think about the market. Leave a comment below and make sure you subscribe. Talk to you next time.